There are over 2,000 documented prawn species and counting in this world that we live in. However, in the culinary world, fewer than 30 species really matter. In seas far away, they talk about the Argentine red shrimp, the spot prawns, or the cold water shrimps. But here, on our shores, 4 prawns dominate the market: Vaname, tiger, angka, and swallow. A prawn expert would be able to identify them easily and use them to their fullest potential. Prawns like the tiger prawns have incredible texture and would excel when grilled, but use them as a stock base and the tiger becomes a house cat. Other prawns like the swallow will make the most complex prawn stock you have ever tasted, but they might just turn into a 3-star Google review if you serve their meat. A prawn expert might even be able to blind taste test these prawns and tell you if they came from the open seas or if they never knew freedom. I am not such an expert.
Hello, we are starting today at Novena at 545 Whampoa Prawn Noodles. This will be the 3rd time this year I'm featuring them. We did it once in the Top 5 Singapore 2025, another time in Anthony Bourdain's episode. So, we are giving them a disadvantage. We are visiting their shopping mall outlet because I went down to the Tekka Center one and they are closed. So, I wonder if we will get surprised. Nice hue on the soup. There's almost like a deep orange going, and we have half prawns but peeled. Anyway, I've had my standards change a lot this series, so much so that I'm being flamed in the comments. Understandably so, but I'm just trying to navigate the prawn mee that I like. And despite having drastically different prawn noodles since the last time I had this is still the prawn noodles that I like. It has been surprisingly difficult to find a prawn-forward savoury soup. Perhaps one of the top criteria heading to the finale is that I want a savoury soup with prawn as the main. Here you can see from the hue of orange, there's a prawn flavour coming through, but not a lot. I would say perhaps 60-40, 65-35, with the smaller portion being pork flavours. But still, it has been surprisingly hard to find something like this. Sometimes it's either just flat sweetness with shallots, sometimes the prawn flavour is very strong but it's too sweet. And then the second hit, good prawns. Despite the low price point, I'm very conflicted on whether to call this Vaname or not. Because it tastes great, the texture is good as well, and the texture is despite being halved, but I don't dare to call it because from my little taste test experiment, I found out that Vaname can actually taste pretty good if you cook it well. Which then leads to one miss. Not really a miss, but a commentary. I want a more expensive version. And I know some of you in the comments have been saying that the dishes this series has been too expensive, but I feel like that's the nature of the dish. In prawn noodles, prawn is the most important. And like it or not, if you want better prawn flavour, you have to spend. Even a prawn noodle master cannot make a Vaname taste better than it is. Having wild-caught prawns that have the luxury of eating a variety of food, instead of ones that have spent their entire life eating pellets, obviously the flavour is going to be different. There is skill involved, no doubt, in how much flavour you can bring out, but I feel like to a certain point you can't cheat the dollar. So all this is to say, they only sell a flat $6.90 here and $5 at the Tekka Center, but I have a feeling they have the skills to bring out even more from a more expensive prawn. Alright, on to our next stop. We are back at Blanco called Prawn Mee. Yet another one we have featured in the Running Man episode. And this place has a chokehold on Korean tourism. I want to say like at least 3/4 of the people there inside are Koreans. Anyway, we didn't realize it the last time, but isn't this really good value? $12.80 for half prawns in a pretty prime spot. Not bad. And this we haven't really seen throughout the series. There's a layer, 1 mm of oil. Just oil. Presumably lard. Let's see what it does. Oi. Eh? I feel like I have been gaslighted for so long. Heading into this series, I had an idea of what Prawn Mee was like. This and 545 shows that idea. Similar to where we just came from, very nicely balanced broth. This really unique color of like orangey brown with highlights at the edges. This was what I thought prawn noodles was like. You have a really nice proportion of prawn flavors and pork flavors. In fact, this one I would say is more towards 70-30. Very, very pleasant. I'm not sure if the oil on the surface is lard or maybe some prawn oil has been suspended in, but it makes the flavor more pronounced. And at $12.80, really surprisingly good prawns. What I have found so far is that prawns, as you move from cheaper to more expensive, the cheaper ones are like flat and sweet, whereas the more expensive ones start to taste a bit more briny, more oceany. You can guess that it probably has to do with its diet, it being wild caught. This prawn I want to say has the taste of prawn. That was a very lengthy way to say that prawn tastes like prawn, but I hope you get what I mean. Good soup, good prawn, good value, and the tables, before you even get seated down, have an empty bowl on it. I like it so much. They're so ready. But because this was the idea that I began with, it also comes with one miss. I thought this was the baseline. I thought this was the amount of prawn flavor you should be expecting from prawn noodles, as in the soup. I was hoping throughout the course of the series, we have something like this, but with a stronger prawn flavor. And we have had stronger prawn flavors, but nowhere near this balance, which I think is ideal. The feeling I had just now was more like, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be, instead of, wow, this is damn good. Interesting. I'll see you guys at the last place. We are now at 大石家 at Killiney Rd, our last stop of the day and the series. I ordered their 大大虾面. They have different sizes here, and the biggest size is seasonal, presumably a U10 or U6. U10 and U6 meaning under 6 or under 10 prawns per pound. This is how they use to measure prawn sizes. This one here is about the same size we had the whole series, about 21-30. I was tempted by their bigger size. They had it today, but it was $42. Maybe let's slow down for a bit. Interesting soup. Very, very transparent, but very, very significant orange layer. Let's give this a go. One of the biggest lies that I've read this series, and one that I perpetuated myself, is that angka is a species of prawns. I just said that at the start of the video, but it's not. Angka is an informal term used in the market for wild-caught prawns. It became popular when farm prawns were widely available, and the sellers needed a way to differentiate their product. This, I want to say, is angka. Top 3 prawns in the series. Very, very nice bite, very sweet, not in an altered way. The beauty of prawn coming through, super satisfying. And I don't know whether it is by design, but the orange paste here adds another level of oomph to the taste. It's like adding butter on your toast. And then we get to the broth. The orange layer really stands out, and the fact that it's so transparent, so light on the bottom, makes the prawn flavor stand out even more. I'm not sure if it's by design, to be honest, because while subtracting does make the prawn more prominent, it also means that something is subtracted. Below the prawn flavor, the broth is light, salty and flat. I cannot really say there's anything going for it. It is actually remarkably flat, almost to the realms of instant noodles already. The prawn oil does save it a lot, but I think it has to be said. This is why I wanted 545 to have a more expensive version. I want them to serve something like this, and I think they will be able to serve a better soup. Anyway, let's wrap it up here. I'll see you guys at the cafe. I got something I need to talk to you about. I'm sorry that I have been so hypocritical. At the start of the series, I'll say I'll do dry and yellow noodles, but as you all have probably noticed, ever since coming back from Penang, it has turned into soup with yellow noodles and bihun. And I got my reasons. I don't know if you all will accept them, but I need to say it. The first is that there is considerable evidence that prawn noodles started out as a soup dish. It is only relatively recently that customers asked for the dry version, so the hawkers whipped up some sauce noodles for them. And in that spirit, I was thinking that I should try the dish as it is intended. The second reason is that I don't like how I sound when I talk about dry prawn noodles. I feel like I sound like a guy still obsessed with his ex-girlfriend. Every time there's a new prawn noodles, Eldred will go like, oh, last time in the Bak Chor Mee series, this one, that one. And I know I shouldn't compare. They are different dishes. But say real, your current partners and your previous partners, do you compare? Compare, right? Current one better, right? Score point, Eldrick. And another thing that I have been hypocritical about is that early on in the series, I made a critique like the vein should be cleared at a premium price point. I have not emphasized that since, which isn't fair. But in my defense, I asked it in a poll where 20% of you hate it, about 50% of you don't like it but don't care about it too much at the same time, and about another 20+% are okay with it. So ever since that, I never really talked about it. And perhaps the biggest iffiness throughout the series is the criteria, and today has made that very obvious. I want prawn noodles with the prawn taste. I don't want shallot sweetness, I don't want porkiness. I want the freshness and flavor of prawn front and center. A lot of places disagree with that, which is totally okay, you do you. But I've seen so many variations since the start of the series that I start to waver about my own criteria. But now I'm clear. So with Z, next week we redo the series. 1 plate I'll walk for the prawn noodles, 2 plate I'll take a bus for the prawn noodles, and 3 plates I'll go anywhere in Singapore for the prawn noodles. And the prawn noodles today get 232. Not that it matters. Not that it matters. Since next week we're gonna run it back, I'm gonna take a week to really pin down what I look for in the prawn noodles, communicate that properly, and then we go again searching for the best prawn noodles in Singapore. But for now, that's all I have for you guys this time. Have a Merry Christmas. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.